Well, hello everybody. I got involved with the Isle of Man a year or two ago, trying to stop the madness of their wind farm proposals, which is driven totally by ideology. I went over there to be insulted live on their radio TV program by the Green Party leader. I made a video of that, quite funny really. And what I've done now is I've produced a paper to put a shot across the bows of this project. It is totally bonkers. What they've forgotten to do, they've forgotten major costs like decommissioning, not involved. They've forgotten the costs they impose on the gas station because they make it what they've got much more inefficient. The also costs to do with getting when there's wind energy at night, when pretty well a lot of the time the wind will just be doing all the energy because that's their base load. And when it's blowing, there'll be no inertia in the system, which is what caused the blackout in things like Spain. So you've got to have inertia, and that would be a pulse moderated inverter, a grid reference inverter we call it, and that would cost about 15 million. That's just on top of the 40 million. I personally don't believe the 40 million price to begin with, but I've assumed it in my paper. So in my paper below this video, I go through the detail of what they've got wrong. And we're looking at treble the cost of what they're claiming. That's what we're looking at. And I think the Isle of Man residents should all know about this. Now, all you have to do is read the paper. You don't have to understand every technical detail, but the questions are there. Now, one thing that's common in this world is because it's been driven by ideology, they don't want to have questioning of it. So with people like me, they shun me, or they'll call me a climate denier or other names, just like in the Middle Ages, used to burn witches, etc. And they weren't right then and they're not right now, people who do this. They're not even scientific. So you'll hear totally contradictory things on the radio, like the science is settled, no such thing. And like, well, we've got to be open, science is developing, from the same person. You've got things like 20 mile an hour limits being imposed almost everywhere without evidence. And you should really have policies led by evidence and reality, not ideology. I'm afraid that's what you've got. Hence this paper, I shot across the bows of your Aristain wind farm proposal. Please read, get the gist of it. I have got a layman's version, which is not as good, but I'll publish that as a link below this one. So there'll be the layman's version as well. I prefer you to read the first version, even if you don't understand it all, because it really explains in detail. And I ask the powers that be, the ideologues that be running all this, who haven't a clue what they're doing, in my opinion, I ask them to respond to it. Or you, the public in the Isle of Man, I'm not an Isle of Man resident, you respond to it. And I'm happy to have a public debate on it. So, challenge them to a public debate. We can do it on Zoom if you like, or we can do it with a personal visit. Of course, they'll shy away from that. So there we are. They'll say their experts say and hide. And for you, members of their parliament, the MHKs, whatever you call them, I ask you, read this paper and think what you're doing. Because what you're doing is very similar to what you did with the ferry, what you did with the dock in Liverpool and so on. It's very, very similar. The costs are going to go way, way past what you're looking at. You've even ignored some major ones there. So thank you for watching. Have a read of the paper. Look forward to meeting you again if I need to.